morning, Aziz. You helped found Marefat, that remarkable school for boys and girls in Kabul. Now you've had to flee persecution from the Taliban into what I hope is temporary exile. What has happened to the school and the girls in particular since then?
When I came to Qatar through that evacuation process, a number of my friends that they had helped me to evacuate, I called them and asked them to help some of the students and my fellow faculty that they would be hunted by the Taliban because of their past activities, because they had been highly publicized in the internet or through their activities. They should be helped. They launched a very good successful operation under an umbrella called 30 Bears Foundation. That was a foundation that they created and established newly at that time. Through that, altogether, we have managed to help around 493 students and faculty to come out of Afghanistan. Around 47 of them came to the United States and somewhere else. Then the rest went to Canada. And among them were the students of the song music band that we had, also athletes that they were in the Wushu, a Shaolin school of Marefat in Afghanistan, and around 58 young girls that they came without their family and they came alone. They're all the graduates of Marefat and the students that they were in the university. And along with them, a number of civil society activists and the people who had worked in press that I knew them. And they were very successful people from different walks of community. They could be brought to Canada. Just 22 or 23 of them are still in Islamabad in the process of getting their flight numbers to get. The rest have already reached to Canada. They're doing well because they were received friendly by the Canadian community in different parts, especially in Saskatoon. Also, the Canadian government, they offer them a very good friendly shelter to protect them. Some institutions and the local communities that they were working and they were active there, they also reached and they supported them. So far, they have been doing well in the process of their resettlement. And hopefully when they get settled, we will resume some of the activities that we had in Afghanistan, especially in community empowerment, community engagement there in Canadian society.
The trauma must be considerable.
So most of them, not only at the time of the evacuation, but before that, they witnessed very horrible incidents in Afghanistan. In these 3-4 recent years, there was suicidal attacks on schools, educational centers, especially in the western part of Kabul. The Hazaras that we, belong to the ethnic community, they had been historically persecuted and massacred. And in these recent years, they were the targets of genocide, mass killing, especially in their mosques, in their schools, in educational centers. So the impacts and traumas of those incidents were in the minds of these students. But at the time of evacuation also, because it was a very scary moment for them, Taliban had the control all over the country. So their movement, especially from Kabul, once they went, some of them to Mazar Sharif in the north, because we were trying to evacuate them through Mazar. Then that was stopped and blocked by the Taliban. Then they returned back again on very difficult terrains to Kabul, then from Kabul to Turkhan border when they crossed the border. So these were all stressful, full of anxiety journey. And still some of these students, they are suffering from that. Apart from that some of them, they were detached from their families, especially the girls, or some of them from their peers, their friends. So these are all different elements that can be added to their trauma. In Canada, they're not much far from each other because they're in Saskatoon, most of them, around 30, around 70% of them, they live in an area that they can easily get in touch with each other. They can commute, to reach and to find each other there. But some of them, around maybe 30% or so, they have scattered in the bigger cities. They have gone to Toronto, to Vancouver, or other places that they had their relatives or their family and friends, or they found some possibilities, to live there. But the majority are living there in Saskatoon.
How many people have actually been able to leave?
In Afghanistan, according to the official statistics, there are around 37 million people. Some in the internet statistics even count that as 42 million. But the list of that is 33 million that is officially approved. So maybe in this process of evacuation, around roughly a million of these people could come either to Pakistan, to Iran, or to Tajikistan, or to the Western countries. The remaining are still in Afghanistan. These are the people that they suffer the most because they do not have any possibility to get out of the country. While there is no security, there is no job, there is no education, especially for women facilities, for girls. So life is not easy for those people who have remained. And because of that, for me, yes, part of my attempt was to help some of the students and faculty that they were primarily hunted by the Taliban, and they could be questioned, persecuted, and tortured, even killed because of their past activities. But still, there are lots of other students, faculty, and other people throughout the country that they need our assistance. There are 4 needs that 3 of them is out of our capacity to reach. One, we cannot provide people with food, which is the basic need of them. We cannot provide them with security because we do not have now the facility to do that. And we cannot create job possibilities for them. But we can offer them hope, which is something very urgent needed. In Afghanistan, people have lost their hope. And for me, this hope can be delivered through the women and girls, and that also with the education of women and girls. Because when you educate or provide them with education, when they start practicing, learning, reading, writing, and sitting in a class together with their peers, then they find some sense of relief for them. When they return home, they laugh. They at least they get an optimism, a wind of hope for the future. Because of that, just at the beginning of this, incident in Afghanistan when the Taliban came, we were sure that they would not allow the girls to come to school because of their ideology and because of some political reasons that they do have. Because of that, I, along with my friends, initiated a program at the beginning that was just to educate the girls. In Marefat High School, we had around 800 students that they would come to the school till July 2022. We were raising funds from my friends, individual friends, with a very small tuition that or wages that we paid for the teachers. We would ask them to bring the students, the girls, to the class, and without any charge, they should teach them. So that was a very good, successful operation. They just were cautious not to provoke the Taliban and to respect some of the apparent, rules that they had with their hijab, what they call, or having segregated classes, or having female tutors for them. So we respected that, and also separated them in time. In the afternoon, we would ask them to come to the school. But when in May, June, a new wave of attacks on the school started, especially in the western part of Kabul against the Hazaras, we again got worried, because it could be a center to attract, the attention of these terrorist groups, and any kind of risk would be irreparable for them. Then we initiated a new program called cluster education. In this cluster, we scattered all these classes into the lanes, into the homes, that the students would come there in small groups. They would be taught by female teachers. In July 2022, then we stopped our program at Marefat completely, and we scattered that, and firstly in Kabul, and some of the houses. Then we expanded that through out the country. Now we have a very successful operation going on in 8 provinces of Afghanistan. In these provinces, we have around now 2,291. This is the recent, the statistics that we have. Students with 86 teachers, female teachers, that they're teaching them with a very cost-efficient, budget that we have, or planning. Just with $3 a monthly, we can teach the students 6 key subjects: chemistry, physics, math, English, geometry, and Dari language. This is even something program that we have for the adults, the women that they have not gone to school at all. So we are providing them as well with this opportunity. In Kabul, they are all in the homes. Yeah, we have around 333 classes in Kabul that they are at homes, because Taliban, they are not restricting girls or education at home, and they are much safer, especially in this western part of Kabul, that the community is supportive to such kinds of initiatives. So teachers, female teachers, they gather, these 30, 35 students in their home, and they just keep teaching them. But in the provinces, then the situation is a little bit different, because there are local commanders or local Taliban. They are a little bit friendly with some initiatives that is locally, taken there by the people. So they're not as harsh as they are in Kabul. There are lots of possibilities for them, to go on. Officially, yes, they have banned girls' education, but they do let them to have some unofficial extracurricular classes, as we have done. So that's a very good, successful operation going on. And the objective for that, which is very encouraging, one, for the girls, when we provide them with education, at least they would be saved from early enforced marriages, and also they would not flee from home, and they would be saved from some psychological pressures, depressions, or even schizophrenia and other types of psychological epidemics, that the disease that they will suffer from. Apart from that, we have reached the educated female that now they cannot go out. They have been the university students, or they have been civil society activists. They have been working in the administration. So all of them are now at home. So we have asked them to come and to be productive, be constructive. When they are teaching the girls. Besides, we are giving them, a very small wage, that is around 6,000 AFs. That's around $80, something like that, per month. That helped them at least with a sack of flour, rice, a bottle of oil, that can add to their nourishment in the family. So this has been going on in a very good, successful manner. we have reached some of individual friends that they have contributed with $5,000, $10,000. The highest amount that we've received that was from a foundation that was $25,000. But the rest had been in this $10,000, $7,000, $5,000, $2,000. Some even have contributed with $500. But for us, that's a very good support, because it locally, helps and empowers the people that they should also contribute with security issues or with some basic stationaries that they need, providing classrooms. There are something that we use from the local sources, and just as a monthly wages, we provide them with this money that is also sent on monthly basis for them. The initiative that we took, and we thought that would be a very good contribution, at least realistically here at this situation that the women are facing in Afghanistan. Because this is not a work of an individual. This is, again, a work of a team that we do have both outside Afghanistan and inside Afghanistan. Outside, we have an umbrella organization that is in the UK, Zombie and James Foundation, that was introduced to us by Soma Stout, and Dr. Farzin Rahmani is the lead for that degree, but we asked them to support us in this regard as well. Now, as an NGO, they are providing us with a facility to raise funds. Here, then I have brought some Afghan friends of mine that they had been supportive to the Marefat education cause, and they were living here for the fundraising and also to help me with collecting the information, the reports, videos, pictures from the scene, and be in touch with the people in the community. I myself am, responsible for the educational aspect of the program, to provide them with some instructions and the methodology of teaching, especially this marathon-like education that I will tell you more about that. This is a kind of new initiative that is very helpful in this attempt. Inside Afghanistan, we have then established a team of, firstly, we call that, the people that they are collecting information, reports, and they are providing with logistic assistance there, distributes the wages to the teachers and collects their information. Then we have cluster coordinators that each of them are responsible for 10, 12, or 15 classes that they get, in touch with them, go with them, and gets monitor and this kind of monitoring inspection on them. Then we have the teachers that they also help with the recruitment, with the, the organization of the classes. It goes on a very slow motion that we have, because in this marathon-like education, the students, regardless of their age and the basic literacy, they do enter to the class. Then it's a kind of race, that all of them together moves on. Then every month there is an evaluation, and this evaluation, then the students gets scattered into sections. If there are 100 students, they're all evaluated as a placement test, then they are scattered in A, B, C, D based on the scores that they receive. Then it goes on, and each month there is a new evaluation, and all the students collectively, they are getting evaluations. And through that, then the newcomers, when the students do come, they are enrolled and accepted in the classes. At the end, then they again have that ceiling of 30 students in each class or 25 students in each class. They scatter them. So the expansion of the program is gradually. It is not that at the beginning we start with 500 or 600 students at the same time. We start just with 30 students, but gradually and on a monthly basis, it expands, and then it's a time for us, for the teachers, for the coordinators to go on with that. The other good part of this is that in this constant educational move, the students are not under any pressure because they are not evaluated based on the subjects. They are evaluated on a comparative, mood with their peers, that they should get more scores from the entire team. And because of that, there is no any pressure on them. And this is the same with the teachers, that they are not constrained with the specific limitation on books or subjects. They have to learn every day, and then to share their learning and their finding with their students. So that is a kind of rotation which is going on. We had this methodology in Marefat for our adult literacy program that was very successful, highly successful. And now it is used, and fortunately, it has been very easily adapted and very easily manipulated by the students and teachers alike. The good point about this marathon-like education is that because initially the tutors that they come here, they do have a basic, required skill and knowledge about the subjects that they teach. For example, in chemistry, physics, math, or English, Dari, Farsi language. So they do know the scope of their work. But in terms of implementation of that in everyday classes, then they have to make that as a strategic, platform for themselves to go on. And every day they should go to the class with a new, thing, and a new item to add to the students. Then they use some books and others which are locally accessible for the students. We do not spare that. We ask them, but they are not limited to that. Yeah. They just keep on based on this strategic lining, that from grade 7 to grade 12, for example, these are all the problems or the issues or scientific issues that should be taught for the students. So they know the entire course. Then the process is a kind of discovery, a kind of, interactive process of learning, and a kind of collaboration between the teacher and the students. I, from the outside, keep an eye with them, and every day I am in touch with them. When I talk in some of the issues with one cluster, then I share that with the rest of the clusters as well as a finding. If I'm asked a question about something that is, helpful and instructive for the others, then I share that and get circulated that. So it has become now a kind of learning process, mutual for all of us as well. Yeah. That's a kind of transformational education, that you transform the students and also the tutors alike, because they do know that they have to learn something, they have to get something and acquire something from the outside, but they have to explore something from their inside as well, as an intuition, as something that they perceive, they get to learn. And through that, it becomes more, something which is working education, something, that's applicable, that touches their everyday experiences and lives. Yes, it's a constant process of learning and understanding. The best way to help you and other people who are looking from outside to Afghanistan is to know about the exact time that we are now in, at the end of 2022. So from this point, when we look to the past of Afghanistan in this 20 years, there had been a lot of changes that has happened to Afghanistan. So we should not mess today's Afghanistan with 20 years back, and we should not even compare today's Taliban with the 20 years back. Yeah, there are something that has not changed, their ideology, their approaches, their political stances, but there are lots of things has changed in the context that the Taliban are facing with. So this context or changed context forces the Taliban also to be different or act differently. And also from here, when we look to the future, we should look at what are some of the possibilities or some of the elements that helps us to understand about our future and can help us to have an imaginative, picture from that. Because of that, still, as a civic educator, I am more optimistic, about the changes.
The costs have been quite high, with quite a lot of ethnic violence too, especially against Hazara.
Yeah, the price of this change is still very high. The ordinary people suffer a lot. Afghanistan faced a tragedy. Now our ethnic community are facing a genocide, and then these 10 days when the educational center was attacked in Western Kabul. So there is a wide and big campaign going on with the hashtag Stop Hazara Genocide, and there had been that hundreds of thousands of people in more than 102 cities around the world that they came and they protested against this, calamity and catastrophe. So there are lots of people from the dignitaries of the world that they have joined now this call. So it is showing that still we are suffering, and there are lots of threats against the ethnic communities such as the Hazaras or some other forces of the community as a civil society activists, the press and others. But still, when we look at the dynamism, of the community or this new generation that has come on the ground, then it gives us hope that this time Afghanistan will embrace completely a new chapter of its history. And I am optimistic about that, because in 2002, for example, 2001, we didn't have a single uniform soldier in Afghanistan. We didn't have more than 10 or 12 or 12 female figures that would be known in the international community and even in the context of Afghanistan. But now we have at least 300,000 uniform soldiers that they have gotten training in this 20 years in Afghanistan. So they know lots of things about security, about their institutional task and force to go on. This is the same with the girls and women participation. We have millions of girls now throughout Afghanistan that they are the young generation. They have gotten education in this 20 years, and now they are on the ground. Taliban are now facing with a very big challenge from this women community of Afghanistan. This is the second part. In 2001, we didn't have a single institution in the country. Everything was smashed and broken. Now, after 20 years, there are lots of institutions as the network that it has expanded throughout the country, and the government and the security forces and the educational sectors and the economic sectors throughout the country. We do have that. So we can go on counting with such promising elements a lot. So this is now a resource now that we are looking. But what is now the pitfall? In 2001, we had a reservoir of the international community contribution, and there were lots of interest that we have used that, and now the international community is exhausted. They are not going to support and to contribute to Afghanistan anymore. This is a pitfall. The same as with a very hidden energy that was inside the Afghan people, that they had an enthusiasm to democracy, human rights, modern norms of life, and so now this collapse, which has suddenly took place in Afghanistan, it has harmed this expectation of people. The hope of people have broken, unfortunately, and that there are lots of people throughout the country that now they are frustrated. They don't know that whether democracy, civil society, or this modern works, norms of life works in Afghanistan or not. So this is something that can be regarded as a pitfall for us. The same as, that in 2001, we have seemingly in a closed community, some leaders or some elites that they were easily coming and raising the voice of the Afghan people as the representatives of the community. Now, all of them have lost their credibility. None of them now can be claiming to have the representation of the people. So we have rich community on the grassroots with millions of people, but no a single address for them. So it takes time now that these people should find their alternative way to raise the voice against the Taliban. And the international community as well. I think now the understanding about the reality of Afghanistan is much more progressive, you know, and realistic than 2001. In 2001, they had just a generic understanding about Afghanistan. This is a country that has been in war, there are some ethnic communities, there had been civil war and so. But in this 20 years, the understanding of the international community has become more detailed. They know lots of things about the fabrics of the community. They know lots of things about the characteristics of the people. Even they know about the nature of the crisis in the country, ethnic crisis, religious crisis, you know, the generation gaps in Afghanistan, cultural activities. So now I think we have to recollect. We will need a time to recollect some of these issues, but this is much, I think, and supportive to my optimism. I feel that naturally you can have some challenges when you are moving for bringing changes in the community, but when you are standing in a position that you can look at your future as a memory, at your past as a memory, and look at your future as an, you know, a destination that you can go on. So this link between the reality and your ideals and your past and your future, I think gives you more realistic ground for activism, for activities. So for me, Taliban are in power. They are very strong now compared to the past. They have lots of weapons compared to the past because all the weapons of the US and the NATO also are all now in their hands. They are more organized. They are more harsh, brutal than the past. But the attracting forces or the challengers inside the community and around the world is also changed. It is much more stronger than 2001. So we now have to show our capacity now to reach to our best audiences throughout the world and to find a new way of collaboration with the international community. It's a challenge, of course, but we have to come over, and hopefully we will overcome.